Hey there guys, how's it going? So, I had to make a video about this fight because Denis Lebedev, the Cruiserweight champion for the WBA, is one of my favourite fighters. I mean, you guys that have been watching my channel for a while will know that. And the reason I like Denis Lebedev so much is because not only is he an exciting fighter and a tough guy who comes to fight and is, extremely aggressive in the ring and, just has so much heart and courage and determination. He also has very, very good boxing skills. One of the things that's really impressed me about Denis Lebedev, how for a guy that's so short and stocky in the cruiserweight division, which is just full of monsters, he's able to outbox these guys, and he's able to hang with these guys in a dogfight. He's an incredibly tough and durable individual. Now, he's going to be fighting a guy called Mark Flanagan. Now, I didn't know who Mark Flanagan was before this fight, I'll admit that. So I had to do a heck of a lot of research on the guy. I'd never even heard of him before. I watched all the footage I can find online, and there isn't actually a whole lot of footage on the guy. There's several clips on YouTube and other websites and whatnot, but, there isn't really a whole lot to look at, in terms of trying to get a sense of who this guy is and what kind of fighter he is. So, but what I will say about him is, from what I have seen, from highlights that I've seen and whatnot, he has a very, very dangerous right hand, okay? He's a very, very hard puncher. I mean, all you got to do is look at a few short clips to see that. He's one of these guys who, kind of like Kudryashov in the sense that he doesn't have a whole lot of skill, and there isn't really a whole lot of speed and athleticism to talk about, but he just seems to have that raw strength and power, and his straight right hand to me seems like the killer punch. And obviously he's not quite as dangerous as someone like Kudryashov. I'm just using him as an example because he's one of these heavy-handed guys at cruiserweight. It's just a division that seems to be full of one-punch KO artists. And even though this guy doesn't really have a great record or resume, he's definitely one of those one-punch KO artists. So with Denis Lebedev being a southpaw, and with him getting up there in age, I mean, he's, 37 now, 38, so he's going to have to watch out for that because the straight right hand is the southpaw killer, as they say. Now, Denis Lebedev, he's coming off a split decision defeat against Mark Gassiev. Now, I watched that fight live. It was being streamed on World of Boxing's website, and it was a fantastic card. The Troyanovsky Indongo first round knockout was on that card. Kudryashov was also on the card, and Rakhim Chakhachev and Maxim Vlasov and all those guys. It was a really, really great card, and I remember that one fondly. And yeah, it was just a great main event. I mean, Denis Lebedev was boxing beautifully early on. He was outboxing Gassiev, however, the problem is every time Gassiev got close and landed a shot, I mean, he only had to land one shot every now and then in order to do a heck of a lot of damage, whereas Lebedev, he had to land a lot of shots to do an equal amount of damage because Murat Gassiev, he's just one of these other guys, one of these extremely powerful cruiserweights, with absolute fucking bricks in both hands. He was extremely powerful, and that left hook to the body that dropped Denis Lebedev in the 5th round was a absolute devastating shot. It was worse than a kick in the balls, man. I mean, you could see the way that Lebedev reacted. It was the kind of punch, when Ricky Hatton used to hit these guys in the body, and you would see them just crumble in pain and they wouldn't get up from it. It was that kind of punch. However, Denis Lebedev, being the absolute fucking warrior that he is, he got up and he fought back. And he was able to go the 12 rounds and almost win the fight, but just lost a close split decision. It was just an absolutely amazing event. It really was a great fight. And I was looking forward to seeing a rematch because with Denis Lebedev being allowed to keep the WBA title because only the IBF was on the line, I was thinking that we would see a unification rematch midway through this year, but for whatever reason the rematch never materialized, and the two guys seem to have gone separate routes, going on with their careers, and I don't really have a problem with that, but I would have liked to have seen the rematch. But anyway, we've got this fight. And I think it's a good fight. I really do. I think it's going to be entertaining. I mean, Denis Lebedev is always entertaining in fights, even though he's proof that you can be a slick boxer and you can be responsible in the ring and have skills, but you can also be entertaining at the same time. Okay, as long as you take the initiative, and that's what this guy does. So I'm really looking forward to this one. if Denis Lebedev can avoid the right hand, because the right hand with Mark Flanagan seems to be the danger shot, if he can avoid that shot, then he should outbox Mark Flanagan. Being a southpaw, Denis Lebedev seems to be able to take away the jab. He's very good at taking away the jab, and I think him doing a lot of training with Freddie Roach, for example. He learnt a lot of really neat tricks from a southpaw, because obviously Freddie Roach being Manny Pacquiao's trainer for a decade or something. I mean, Freddie Roach obviously has a lot of experience with southpaws, so with aggressive southpaws too. So I think that he was probably the perfect trainer to do some work with. I'm not actually sure if Lebedev is still with Freddie Roach. I know he was in his corner for the last fight, so it's possible, and I think it would be good if he is. But yeah, I think being with Freddie Roach, he'll have taught Denis Lebedev a lot of things, like how to avoid the straight right, how to take away the jab, and things like that. And I think that if he's on point, if he's in shape, if he's gets the right sparring, and he's got a lot of cruiserweights in his stable to spar with, so I'm sure he will. I'm sure he'll be able to outbox this guy. And from what I've seen of Mark Flanagan, like I said, he's powerful, but he's limited, and he also has several losses too. I mean, he's lost to a few guys that I've never even heard of. He was even stopped actually by a guy that was I think 7-2 when I looked at his record. That was a guy that stopped Mark Flanagan. So yeah, I think Denis Lebedev should be able to get a stoppage here. He really should. I mean, if he doesn't get the stoppage, then I won't be surprised, because Mark Flanagan, I mean, he hasn't been beaten a long time. I think the last time he lost was in 2013, and the last time he was stopped was in, 2011, 2010, something like that. So he hasn't been stopped in a long time, and, he's a big puncher and he's dangerous. So I won't be surprised if it goes the distance, but I will be kind of expecting a stoppage. I just think that the superior pedigree here is Denis Lebedev. I mean, he's been in the ring with so many better fighters than this guy. I mean, he's been in the ring with Enzo Macronelli, former cruiserweight champion, Marco Huck, Murat Gassiev, guys like Latif Kayode. He trains with people like Alexander Povetkin and Costa Tszyu, for example. So, I mean, just the pedigree here, guys, it's insane. He has such a better pedigree. He also fought Victor Ramirez, who was a champion. He's been around for so long, Denis Lebedev. He's had so much training and sparring with some of the best fighters and best trainers in boxing, like Freddie Roach, for example. So I just think that Mark Flanagan, who's spent the majority of his career, I think, in Australia. In fact, I don't think he's ever even left Australia for a fight. I'll need to check that after I do this, but I'm pretty sure he's fought his entire career in Australia, so he doesn't have the experience of fighting on the road that Denis Lebedev has. Like, for example, Denis Lebedev's fought in Germany and the UK and whatnot, so, this guy, he's going to be travelling over to Russia. There's going to be a hostile environment, and he's never dealt with that in his career, so clearly that's going to give Denis Lebedev a psychological edge in the fight. So just the difference in pedigree, the difference in experience, and the difference in boxing skill, in my opinion. Also, the difference in who they've got around them. I mean, Denis Lebedev has, he has World of Boxing behind him and a very good trainer. I just think that, there's too much. There's too much in his favour here, and I'm going to go with Denis Lebedev to win the fight by a stoppage, but a decision wouldn't surprise me. So anyway, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a really, really entertaining fight. I love the cruiserweight division, my favourite division. Let me know what you guys think, and thanks a lot for watching.